Just ahead of 6:30 on this Wednesday, a Bozeman man, Paul DeWyze, gets more than 200 years in prison for killing his wife, severely injuring another woman at a Belgrade home. The riveting testimony from the sentencing hearing is coming up. And cancer deaths in the United States continue to fall. Coming up, ways Montana doctors say you can protect yourself from some forms of that disease. Meantime, as I mentioned, just ahead of 6:30, Matt Elwell joining me this morning. You have been a very busy man, and it sounds like the next couple of days you're going to be busy, and so will my snow shovel.
Your son will be very busy shoveling
exactly,
the snow.
Yeah.
We have some significant snow on the way. I want to talk a little bit very quickly about the morning driving conditions. There's still some icy spots out there. Snow covered on Bozeman Pass, especially on the Bozeman side of Bozeman Pass, according to MDT. Clear and dry on Homestake Pass, snow and ice down the Gallatin Canyon. Temperatures are holding into the 20s, and I do expect the temperatures to warm up throughout the day, and that's probably going to make us really in the prime for some heavy snow, especially as you head into your Thursday. I do expect to see some scattered snow showers, the heaviest snow developing overnight and into your Thursday. Don't be surprised to have some slick roads on your drive home from work today, but the real trouble begins starting on Thursday. We're going to break it all down for you, of course, coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. 6:30 now on this Wednesday. Joseph Paul DeWyze, a Bozeman man convicted of killing his wife and injuring another woman, will spend the rest of his life in prison. His final combined sentence, 220 years in the Montana State Prison. Cody Boyer reports that DeWyze took the stand for nearly 50 minutes to testify one last time, but it was the voice of Ashley Van Hemert, who he shot 4 times that January night, that some say carried the furthest in the courtroom.
The circumstances of this crime are outrageous. They are aggravated and they are intolerable.
I can't do any of the stuff that I enjoyed doing before.
The district courtroom was packed, and Ashley Van Hemert's brothers, sister, and mother all sat to support the woman who woke up on January 6th, 2018 to find a man standing over her in the dark.
It's night and day from before January 6, 2018.
Paul DeWyze, convicted of shooting both Van Hemert and killing his former wife, Lauren Walder DeWyze, listened quietly. While she took out notes, Van Hemert rarely looked at them.
I've had to learn to live with only the use of my right hand and arm. So I've had to learn to dress all over again.
Her brothers, Caleb and Terrell, also took the stand with words meant only for DeWyze.
You tried to kill my sister. You did a pretty darn good job of trying to do it. Unless God intervened, she would be dead. She was on the ground for, I believe, almost 9 hours, wondering if she was gonna die. What do you think that felt like?
In the end, each Van Hemert, from Linda, her mother, to her sister Carissa, told DeWyze they forgave him. Then, Paul DeWyze himself began to speak.
I feel for Ashley. She's a special lady.
Going on and off a written statement, DeWyze spoke for nearly an hour.
The prosecutor kind of makes his story better every time I hear him. I've never had a problem. I've never had anybody accuse me of having trouble with my temper.
But Ashley's voice rang out the loudest.
Mr. DeWyze, thank you for looking at me. It is well with my soul, what you have done to me.
Then Ashley, to the man who shot her 4 times, including in the back of the head, gave that same man a Bible with a poem, which she brought, but once again, she never needed to look down.
If God can forgive me an unlimited amount of times, then how can I withhold forgiveness from you, Paul? If God can forgive me an unlimited amount of times, then how can I withhold forgiveness from you, Paul?
In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Cody tells us before his final sentencing, Ashley Van Hemert told Paul DeWyze that she did not want him to die in prison. Instead, when he is deemed as no longer a threat to society, she hoped he would go to a nursing home and there seek faith. In other news this morning, a Bozeman man accused of stealing sporting goods from his place of work just to sell them at another store in town. Investigators say he stole nearly $5,000 worth of stuff. According to court documents, 21-year-old Caleb Jackson was caught stealing after an employee at Play It Again Sports in Bozeman said Jackson sold a few baseball gloves that came from Bob Ward's, where Jackson worked. Turns out Jackson admitted that he had stolen them from his workplace, and Bozeman police say Jackson admitted to stealing more than that. Over the last 6 months, adding up to about $5,000 worth of jackets, shoes, sunglasses, and other apparel.
You are not to have any contact with the alleged victim, meaning you're not to be on their property, contact any of the witnesses or anybody involved in the case, and that includes any Bob Ward stores statewide.
Now, the judge released Jackson on his own recognizance. Based on a lack of criminal history, he could still face up to 10 years in prison if convicted. Well, Gallatin County now offering paid parental leave to its employees. The county commission voted 3-0 on the policy, which covers any birth or adoption that happen after the first of the year. The new policy includes 6 weeks of paid leave. It's available to full and part-time employees who have been with the county for at least 6 months. Officials say the new policy will help the county recruit, retain, and support dedicated employees. Gallatin County, by the way, has 515 full and part-time employees. In other news, Broadwater County Sheriffs Office planning a series of meetings this month to talk to people about what they want from their public safety services. They'll also talk about the Sheriff's Office budgetary situation. Sheriff Wynn Meehan says many people who live in Broadwater County, especially in the northern and southern ends of the county, have asked him for expanded services. But he says the budget is tight, even for existing services. Sheriff Meehan says he and county commissioners are considering asking voters to approve a 5-year public safety levy this spring. He says he wants a better picture of what the public is looking for to determine what the levy proposal should look like.
It's just trying to figure out, meet the needs of the people. I think that's our overall goal without losing what we've worked so hard to get to. And so I'm kind of looking forward to hearing what folks have to say and come up with a plan.
Now, that first public meeting will be Wednesday, February 12th at the Headwaters Livestock Yard, which is just outside of Three Forks. Also, the Identity Theft Resource Center sounding the alarm when it comes to protecting your private information. The new 2019 end-of-year data breach report found a 17% increase in total breaches last year. Now, the center warns criminals exposing emails and passwords for accounts that may seem unimportant can still put you at risk. That information can be used for what's called credential stuffing.
That is where the thieves take this information and they hope that you are not practicing good password hygiene and you're reusing that password over multiple accounts. They're hoping that you're using it with your sensitive accounts, like perhaps your banking login information or credit card or things of that nature.
Now, while credential stuffing isn't new, the report found it exploded since 2018. Some of the biggest attacks were on Intuit, Boost Mobile, Dunkin', and Disney+. Another growing threat is organizations using databases accessible over the internet, but leaving them unprotected.
And sometimes it's as simple as not password protecting that database when it's installed and uploaded to the cloud, or not checking one box when these things are being set up.
Now, as always, if you think you may have fallen a victim, the Identity Theft Resource Center has a free app and resources available on its website. Also, we're unraveling utility statements made after a recent change caused confusion for some consumers. MTN Investigates' Keely Van Middendorp joins us with more.
You may be one of nearly 30,000 customers seeing a change to your utility bill. Customers with Energy West say they're seeing what looks like a new property recovery tax listed on their statements. Now, you asked us to investigate the change, so we did.
I think people need to be more aware of what's going on and start questioning some of that stuff.
While the line item may look new, Energy West officials say customers had been paying for property tax recovery all along. Now, consumers like Jean say just because they've been doing it for years doesn't make it right. And she's not just talking about her natural gas bill. Coming up on MTN Investigates, we see what other charges are in monthly utility statements and how taxpayer money is being spent.
Again, MTN Investigates Unraveling Utility Bills airs tonight at 10. You can head on over to our websites to read that full story right now. Also, yesterday marked the 20th anniversary of World Cancer Day. MTN's Megan Mannering shares some of the advancements in cancer treatment and ways you can maybe avoid the disease.
overall, cancer outcomes are very good.
Radiation oncologist Dr. Michelle Proper says the medical world is buzzing.
One thing that we're getting excited about right now is not only immunotherapy, but combining it with radiation.
Medical advancements such as this are changing the way doctors approach cancer. And as new technology and practices roll out all the time, patients become survivors every day.
Over the past 25 years, the cancer death rate has declined by 27%.
While part of World Cancer Day is celebrating survivors and medical progress, the other part is recognizing where we're falling behind.
In the next 10 to 20 years, obesity is predicted to overtake smoking as the #1 risk factor for cancer.
And between obesity and HPV-related cancers, where there's a vaccine available, Dr. Proper says almost 140,000 cases of cancer could potentially be avoided every year.
Not smoking, not drinking, exercising, and maintaining a healthy body weight are good for cancer.
Along with having a healthy lifestyle, Dr. Proper stresses the importance of talking to your medical provider about getting a cancer screening.
We're trying to get patients to be screened so we can find cancers sooner when they may not have symptoms and they're more highly curable.
In Missoula, Megan Mannering, MTN News.
Megan tells us organizers of World Cancer Day say this is the year to reduce unnecessary cancer deaths and to achieve equal access to cancer care for all. Good causes, both of them. We're going to take a quick break here on Montana This Morning. When we come back, thousands of people around the globe playing the waiting game, sitting in quarantine facilities because of coronavirus outbreak. We'll take a closer look after the break, but before that, let's head to New York for a quick look at what's coming up at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Coming up on CBS This Morning, President Trump touted a strong economy and a look ahead in his State of the Union last night, but the bitter partisan divide was on full display. The latest on the visual tension between the president and Nancy Pelosi. And we're in Iowa, where the app maker at the center of the caucus mishap is now apologizing big time. How there are lots of questions as we're still seeing only partial results 2 days later. Plus, only on CBS This Morning, we talk with the CEO of a controversial facial recognition company using your social media images. Some say that is an invasion of privacy. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.